Hey, good morning, everybody. How's everybody out there today? All good? Everybody doing okay? Ready for another Sunday chit chat? I hope so. Hope you guys are all doing well. I'm looking forward to today's chat. And as per usual, we have some good stuff to talk about. I think it won't be an issue to fill up about an hour in terms of great guitar chit chat. And I'm excited because Christmas is around the corner. Always a fun time of year, I think. If you just forget about all the stress involved with Christmas shopping and preparing for get-togethers and all that kind of stuff. It's always good to have some time off, and I will have some time off, which is going to be great. Hopefully recharge the batteries, crank out a few more videos, and just take some me time eventually, So I hope you guys are going to have an opportunity to do the same. Let me know if the volume on the mic is okay, guys. Do you hear me all right? I'm pretty much maxed out right now on my DAW, so the only other way I can make it louder is get closer to the microphone. Let me know if it's okay. All right, let's get started. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. First of all, let me say good morning to the guys that are here already. A few people are nice and early today. So we have Cushman and we have Eddie, we have Dan, Profile Productions, we have Gene as well. Let's see who else. Shane is here, and Wayne McDonald. Presley's here. What's up, brother? I had a great time with Presley and Charles 75, and I have to give them a shout out before I forget and get distracted, because I get distracted by shiny stuff sometimes. I had the pleasure to have a really nice discussion with both Charles and Presley on Friday evening, and they invited me to their show. So I was more than excited and happy to be there. We had a great chat, a great bunch of fellows, I have to say. And it was fun. I enjoyed it. I hope we can do it again sometime, guys. So shout out to them. Christian is here. Hey, Christian. Nice to see you, buddy. Mark is here. Mark is finally taking a break. A day off work. Mark, you deserve it, man. You've been working hard. Cool Tunes, BC Rich, Charles, Mark, Marcel, Ben. Who else is here? Let me see. Everybody's trickling in. Rico. Music and Gear. Let's see here. All right, there's a bunch of people right now, so that's good. That's good. I'm happy you guys are coming in here. All right. So the first thing I wanted to say is, first of all, as I always remind everybody that hasn't been on the show before, and if you're a newcomer, please subscribe. Otherwise, you won't be able to chat today. It takes a minute to do so and another minute before it's activated and you can jump in the chat. So please do that before we do anything else, because we want to try and get as many people, as many people the ability to jump in on the chat today as possible. The other thing I want to say is thank you, guys. We did hit 31,000 subscribers last week. During the show, I said to you guys it would be great if we can hit 31,000. Would be a nice Christmas gift. So Christmas came early for me today, and we actually surpassed 31,000 earlier this week, which is fantastic. It's great to see that the channel is still growing and that more people are discovering Addicted to Gear. So that's fantastic. It's always great to see new faces, get new comments and different perspectives when we're here live on Sunday. So hopefully we'll see a few of those people jumping in on the chat today as well. Let's talk about gear. Let's jump right in it. Why do we need to wait? So first of all, guys, I know that you guys, some of you have been doing some shopping, and I did get a message from some of you, a couple of messages actually from some of you guys saying that you were looking at some new stuff, and some of you actually picked up some new stuff, which is always great. It warms my heart. Shane says that he got a Greco, a 1979 Les Paul model for $470 US, which seems like a great deal. Shane did send me a picture. I think he sent it to me, when was it? Early this morning. And Shane, if you send me a couple more pictures, I'd love to share it with the boys. You know, just to, if you have any and you're willing to do so. Those Greco models have a very good reputation, by the way. So I think it's going to be a really nice guitar, just from that one picture that I saw. I didn't see all of it. I just saw the body. But it seems like it's a really nice looking guitar. And, you know, what's better than a Les Paul style guitar? Besides two Les Paul style guitars? Not much. So I'm glad you picked one up. I think that's going to be a really nice Christmas gift. Was that a gift for yourself? An early Christmas gift? Or was that sort of in the Christmas budget? Did your wife say, you know, gift yourself? Or did you just take it upon yourself to buy it for yourself early because you were a good boy? All right. So Charles says we had a great time. Thank you. Hey, thank you guys. I had a blast. I could go on and on when I'm talking about gear. You know that. And Presley says, dude, it was so fun. Good times. Sorry for Sherman's behavior. No worries, Presley. It's all good. I had a great time too, and don't worry about it, dude. Inside joke with the dude. All right, so Shane says I get to play it for a few months with the understanding I will flip it. Well, Shane, why so eager to flip? You know, it could be a great keeper guitar. Why do you want to get rid of it so quickly? It seems like you already have it in your mind that it's gonna go. Give it a chance. Peg City's here. Hey, nice to see you. Awesome. Thank you for joining in. Metal Heater 123. Good morning to you. And St. Brando's here. St. Brando says vacation starts today. Isn't that a great feeling? When you know that you have a bunch of time still ahead of you that you can sleep in and take it easy, that's great. The worst feeling is the night before you gotta go back, right? You get that feeling like, oh man, it's already over. But enjoy it, man. I hope you have a nice stretch of time ahead of you. Enjoy that. All right, so listen, you know, most of the time here I'm doing most of the chit-chatting. And I like to have your guys, you know, I want you guys to sort of direct where the conversation is going to go today. Comments, questions, you know, just gear information, what's going on. You know, it's never, I don't like it to be one-sided. So jump right in. Let's start the conversation. And so Dave Lavallo says using Dream 65 as well. Very cool. And let me just see if there was. Says thank you, love it, running wet, dry, wet setup. And did I miss anything earlier than that? I'm just trying to jump in on the chat here. Good morning, DL. Nice to see you. Anyways, I'm just going to try and keep up with all of the chat here. Things are going by really quick. Mark says, I'm playing my Les Paul now. Just put some vintage forged speed knobs on it. What does that look like? Forged speed knobs. I'm not familiar. I know the speed knobs, but are these like a specific brand, Mark? Maybe I should do a little Google search. Let me see here. You guys always teach me new things here, so. All right, so the forged amber, so you're talking about, okay, so it's not like, I was thinking forged like, you know, like forged metal or something, you know, unique. But you're talking just regular speed knobs, the plastic speed knobs. Yeah, I like those. I like those. I have those on some of my other guitars as well. I find that the speed knobs are easier to grip than the top hat versions, but the top hat versions do definitely sometimes look better on certain models of guitars. Don't you agree? And Shane says he played his Flying V today. Sunday is V Day. Green Rumor says, hello, Tony. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you. Marcel, thank you for reminding people to hit the like button. I appreciate that. Yeah, 45 people here. If you can hit that like button, if you're not too far away, always appreciated. Mark says, I'm on day 2 of 18 straight days off. Dude, that's fantastic, man. That's like, you know, it's practically a month. Fantastic. I hope you enjoy it. What are you planning to do during the rest of those days? Anything interesting planned? Any shopping? Shopping? I picked up a new guitar. You guys want to see it? I don't know if you guys are interested or not. Mark says, I prefer the look of the top hat knobs, but speed knobs are easier to use when playing. Agreed. I agree with that, man. But just some guitars just need the top hats. They just look better, you know? Like on my 335, I think the top hats look better. If I put speed knobs on that, it kind of ruins the look for me. So I don't know. MFN says, hi Tony, I'm thinking about switching my Les Paul standard tuning peg caps from metal to plastic to look more vintage. Should I? I like the plastic look, to be honest. Some people don't. I guess you're referring to the tulip style tuners. I like those. Some people don't. Some people are like, no, give me the metal all day long. Maybe we can take a quick survey here and ask the boys what they think. What do you guys think? On a Les Paul, do you like the plastic tulips tuners, or do you prefer the metal ones? I like plastic. I think it looks more vintage, you know, just like, I don't know. It's one of those things. It's a mojo thing. So let me know what you think about that. I'll show you my guitar in a second. So let me just see something here. Somebody had another question here. So D-Mac says, anyone know anything about the Mexican-made Martins, the Road series? I don't know if did I ever try any of those Mexican-made Martins? I don't. You know what? I did try some of the cheaper ones. I have a Martin, by the way, as well. But the Road series are kind of like, I guess, less expensive Martins, if we can say that. Well, not really less expensive, because they're still over $1,000. Honestly, I don't think that you can really get a bad sounding Martin. They're usually all good. Yeah, I mean, you have to, you know, don't go in there blind and just take, you know, buy the first one you see. I would definitely try them. The Road series is about $1,200 here in Canada. Sapele, Fishman Electronics Auditorium model produces the perfect blend of volume and balance. You know, I don't, at the end of the day, I don't know if it's a big deal where they're made. I mean, value-wise, I guess people, you know, are going to always, I guess, prefer the American-made ones because, you know, it's just American. I guess they're perceived as being better or more valuable. But I'm sure that I'm sure if you close your eyes and you play two versions, one made in America and one made in Mexico, you probably wouldn't hear the difference or be able to tell which one is which. The best thing is just to try one, man. Go out there and try it, and if it talks to you, man, then save yourself a couple bucks. Again, I haven't really ever tried a Martin I didn't like. They have different sounds, but they all sound good, man. And that's why I ended up buying one. So you want to see the guitar that I bought? Before we jump into anything, here it is. You see it? That's the guitar I bought. It's for the Christmas tree. Isn't it cool? It's a Firebird. Can you see that? I don't know. I'm getting reflection there, but maybe you can see it. I didn't even take it out of the box yet. Keep it in there. But it's a Firebird tree ornament for Christmas. You got to get one in there, at least one, right? Who else has some gear-related tree ornament on their tree? That's the true sign of a gear addict, you know, when you're putting guitars on your trees. Let's see here. Zach Thong is here, Addicted to Gear. Hey, good morning, Tony. Good morning to you, man. I'm just looking for other questions. Give me a second. There's a few other questions here. I'm just got to catch up. Ben says, Shane, I have a 59 reissue electric 12 string and love it so much. I wouldn't mind a 6 string one day. And I think, did I miss a question from Shane? I think I did. Let me see here. Has anyone owned a Dan Electro? Saw a lefty Seaphone green one. Never played one. I haven't actually run into one in the wild. I've seen them all the time, right? They're common guitars in terms of like people using them, professionals. You see them, you know, on stage a lot of times. But I haven't ever seen one in a store somewhere where I can try it. Seems like the neck on that guitar would be kind of unique, would have a unique feel to it. Has anyone else tried it? Can anyone else validate the neck on that guitar, what it feels like? Charles says, would you like my address so you can send me that, sir? Yeah, man, sure. Anytime. Maybe I'll even deliver it in person. How's that? I took this one out. I dusted it off today because it wasn't the case for a long time. And I'm like, oh, I haven't given this enough love lately, so I'm going to take it out and play it a little bit, tune it up a little bit. And so let me just, all right, one other thing here I wanted to bring up with you guys. So there is a poll question today. Let's not forget about the poll question. If you guys are new, don't know where that's located, if you go to Addicted to Gear on my channel on YouTube, in the community section, that's where they end up. And the question today, and we'll answer and we'll look at the poll results later on today, but the question was, in your experience, what is the best sounding nut material for an electric guitar? And we have 189 votes so far, and the answers were either bone, brass, graphite, synthetic materials such as tusk, corian, micarta, or plastic such as nylon or something called Delrin, if you're familiar with that. There's probably other things you could craft a bone nut out of or a nut out of, but those are probably the more popular ones. Of course, you can get into like stuff like titanium and all kinds of different metals and whatnot, even actual physical nuts, you know, like a nut off a tree. Some people use those as well. So place your votes and we'll answer the poll question. We'll look at the results later on. That's always interesting to get some feedback. So what was the result regarding the question on the Les Paul tuning pegs? Who prefers plastic? Did we get any feedback on that? Shane, the new guitar in the thumbnail, that's not actually a new guitar. That's the Harley Benton. And I've reviewed that guitar on my channel. So the thumbnail for today's show is a Harley Benton. It looked kind of similar to this, but it's a different color. This is what they call, I think they call this charcoal burst. I can't speak. charcoal burst, where the other one is not black. So it's slightly different. But you know, that guitar, the Harley Benton, does remind me a lot of this guitar, even though it has a different bridge on it and whatnot. But it reminds me of this guitar in a lot of aspects, and I think that's kind of what they were aiming for when they put out that Harley Benton, was kind of to give you this kind of flavor, obviously at a different price point. And I really like that Harley Benton guitar. So far, out of the Harley Benton guitars that I've tried, that one in the thumbnail is my favorite so far. D-Mac wants to know also any input on the Ibanez Artcore series. Does anyone own an Artcore? You need to step up if you have one. Let's see what the prices are on the Artcore today. I keep looking up the information when you guys mention it, because I want to see where the prices are going, because they change drastically. They've changed, between pre-COVID, post-COVID, and now prices are all over the place. So it all depends on where you're buying it, if you're buying new, if you're buying used. And I'm looking at the prices here just online, and they will vary. The price on that guitar is, I see a variation between $699 all the way up to like $1,095. So it depends where you're buying it, I guess. Here, a local shop, when I say local, I mean in Canada, selling them for a reasonable price, $699. Looks like a very nice guitar. And I think a lot of people like those Ibanez guitars. They have a good reputation for being well made. And if you're into, like, it's more of almost like a jazz box type guitar, right? And if you're into those type of guitars, I think they provide a really nice sound. It's a very artistically designed guitar with the sort of like the vintage style tailpiece and all that. I haven't tried one. I know those are pretty common. You can find them in stores quite often. I think the only reason why some stores don't carry that particular style is, maybe they're going, they have more of the, let's say I'm not going to say metal, but more rock style Ibanez guitars on the wall. But I've seen these quite a few times. Haven't had the pleasure of trying one yet. Presley says, I got another 7 days to go for a total of 28 days straight. Then I get 14 days in a row. Dude, you're spoiled, man. You're spoiled. I wish I can get 28 days off. I take it anytime. Paul, good morning, Paul. Paul says, pedal of the week. So he's recommending the Beyang FZ7 Fuzz, clone of the Electro Harmonix Big Muff, New York City. It even comes in the same casing, nails the Jack White sound, even the sag thing for $45. So if you guys are into fuzz, if you're telling yourself, I need a fuzz pedal this Christmas, $45 gets you a really cool one, according to Paul. So check it out. Beyang FZ7 Fuzz. I'm wondering if I actually had one of those in the past, because it sounds familiar, and there's so much stuff that goes by over the years. I even forget sometimes. Let me just see here. If I remember, there's even the FZ7, but there's also the FZ10 now, right? The Z10 is a little bit more expensive. I think I did have it at one point. It could have been the FZ10 though. I could have had it. I'm not a huge fuzz fan. I don't. There was one point where I liked that flavor, but I since then kind of got away from the fuzz sound. But it's always cool. Sometimes it's cool to have that. Marcel wants to know, Do you have a wiring diagram of the Telecaster you use in the TC204 demo he has on his site? I can take a look. I would have to look, Marcel, and let you know. But I can get back to you on that, dude. Give me some time, okay? And I'll see if I can dig something up. So Vox says he has a Mexican-made Martin Dreadnought Jr. It's the best sounding acoustic I've ever played. Seriously, he says. And I believe him, because I've tried very inexpensive Martins in the shop. Just grabbing one off the wall and playing them, those laminated ones. I'm sure you've seen the ones where the neck is actually made out of layers of laminated wood. I'm not sure what kind of wood, but they sound really good. They're like really like very crisp sounding acoustic guitars, And Paul says the made in Mexico Martins are super well made with attention to detail. Exactly. I don't think you could go wrong with a Martin. All right, let me just catch up. Sorry guys, I'm yapping and you guys are way ahead of me here. So I'm scrolling all the way to the bottom, so we'll see what I missed along the way. Herb of Fireside Studio says congrats to you also. If it's meant for me, thank you. I'm not sure if I missed something. Yeah, Paul confirms that Biang are a family biz and they've made this fuzz for 15 years. So you may have had one. I'm pretty sure I did along the way. So D-Max says, hey Tony, just an FYI, I was able to try the JQ Lee 20 Friedman yesterday. Head with matching cab. What a great amp, lots of versatility from nice cleans to raging gain. Too pricey for me, unfortunately. Oh man, that sucks. When you try something and you like it so much and you're like, this is really cool, but I can't afford it. That hurts. Dude, save your money, man. Save up. Just, I don't know, like brown bag it to work or something for a while and just like save up your pennies. Put it into the Friedman fund. Life's too short. You got to grab, if it resonates with you, no pun intended, you got to grab it. How many of you, this is a good question here. So how many of you have a guitar or some other kind of gear that you've been lusting after for a while that's just slightly out of reach in terms of price point? I think everybody's got one of those items on their list, right? Like you would love to have it if you had extra cash or whatever. And I'm not saying the holy grail. Like I'm not talking about, I'd love to have a vintage Les Paul, even though yeah, I would love to have a vintage Les Paul, but I'm just talking about something reasonable, something like attainable, but just like slightly, you can almost feel it, but you would have to maybe save a little bit to get it and perhaps can't justify it. I got a couple of those on my list. And for me, it's, well, let me ask you guys first if you have anything like that, and then I'll tell you what's on my list. Okay, so Shane says he just sent me some photos, so let's take a look. Oh, there we go. Yeah, all right. So let's see if I can share those. If I can, I will. Let me just give me a second, guys. Talk amongst yourselves. And I'll tell you in a second if I can share that, if I do have the ability to put it in my feed. Let me take a look here. I think I can. I think I can. I think I can. I know I can. I know I can. All right, here we go. Is it in here? So many different... Sometimes it takes a second to get into my feed here, so let me... Come on, work with me. I'm not talking to you guys. I'm talking to my computer here. Because I do have it on my phone. Maybe it takes a second to sync with my computer. Give me 1 second. And if it doesn't work, then I apologize, but I'm gonna try. Just give it a second and then we'll see what happens, okay, Shane? It'll probably pop up in my feed in a minute or so here. Give it a sec. And if I can share, I will. If I forget, remind me, okay, Shane? I'm just giving it a second. Sometimes it just takes a minute. Actually, you know what I can do? I think I know what I can do here. Let me just try something here. Bam, bam, bam. Let's do it this way. There we go. Okay. So, I think we have one here. And where did the other ones go? There we go. Boom, boom, and boom. Okay, so here, let me see if I can share this with you guys. Will this work? I'm not sure. Let's see. No, 1 second. 1 second. Put that there. Can we see this? I'm not sure. There we go. So there's one. Can you see that one, guys? That's a handsome looking guitar. It looks like it was used but not abused. And I like the fact that the body looks like it's doesn't have crazy flame, but I like those simple Les Paul style bodies too. I think they look pretty cool. And let me see if I can go to the next one here. So we have this one. This is the headstock. So the headstock says Greco on it, and it is a different style headstock. So I'm wondering what year this model is. I like the tulip tuners on there with the double little rings at the end. That's definitely like vintage. Even has the standard truss rod cover. The color of the fretboard leads me to believe that it is rosewood. But I'm not sure about the headstock. I think that's changed over the years, maybe. So here's a close-up of the actual body. You can see it's 3 pieces. You can tell there's a little seam here. I think there's another seam here, if I'm not mistaken. I like the wear on the pickups. You can see the grain on the neck here at the top. Looks pretty dark. It's missing the little tuner, the little rhythm treble switch knob, but that's an easy fix to put back in. The treble, the actual bridge looks like it's a nice fat one with the thumb screws, and it looks like, I can't really tell from these pictures, but it looks like maybe it would go directly into the wood and wouldn't necessarily have the little retainers on the underside, but I can't really tell from this picture. Top hat knob, which is nice. I don't know if it has any buckle rash. Can't tell from these pictures, but the top looks like it wasn't abused at all. So that's pretty cool. Congratulations, man. I like it. That's a nice find. Vox says can't see the headstock. What do you mean can't? I couldn't see the headstock. Here, wait, let me see something here. Because the reason I'm saying, hold on, let me just show you something here if I can find one. Because they have different models, different years, right? And some of the Greco guitars, they've changed over the years. I haven't really seen that particular headstock often, but here I'm going to show you guys something here. Maybe you can see. If you look here, I'm just going to go into this website here. What the heck? I hate when it does that. So here you can see Greco Les Paul on Facebook, and you can see the headstocks. They're different, right? You can see one right here in the, but they typically have headstocks that look like Les Pauls. Here you can see the double bound headstock. I don't know if I can get a close-up view of the headstocks there. But here you can see one here, open book head style. That's the common ones you would typically see in a Greco. So I don't know, I'm not familiar with the one you have there, Shane, but that could be an earlier model. They maybe changed over the years. Like you can see this one here. This one looks like the one you have, but the top is not the same on the one you have. This is an open book, and yours is slightly more curly Q. So you might just want to look and see, do some research, see when it came out, and try and figure out what the year is. Yeah, that's what I figured. It was probably just an early model of that headstock, Shane. That's what I mean. Maybe it was only used during a short period of time. 1979, yeah, could be. Oh, my face was in the way. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Okay, let me show. Should I try showing it again so my face is not in the way? Let me try. Let me see if I can here. I aim to please. My face was in the way. Okay, here's the headstock once again. Let's see if my face will be in the way this time. Yeah, my face is in the way. All right, let me move it. Let me move it. Sorry about that. There we go. Can you see that? That's the one. So you can see how it's different. The logo is different. The headstock top here is not the open book style that you would see usually. So that's what I mean. Here you can see the body. Once again, nice looking. And oh, that's me. Oh, that's the guitar I was talking about earlier today anyways. So that's the body, that's the full view of the guitar. And it's looking like a really nice guitar. I like it. I think that's a great find, man. So congratulations. Anybody else? Anyone else out there picked up something cool that we can share? Hey Joe, nice to see you. Joe's all the way from San Francisco today. And Zach says, Tony, I play guitar left-handed. So a lot of people out there are left-handed. How many other people are left-handed? I'm not left-handed, but my son is. I know Shane is left-handed. Joe's left-handed. Who else is left-handed in the house today? If we show some hands. Just comparing how many people are righties to lefties. Dennis says, gonna be in and out loading gear one piece at a time for practice, getting a little lunch started, but I'll be lurking. And Marcel wants to know how the amp is coming along. Marcel, the amp is coming good. Coming along very well. I mentioned that last week a little bit, just talking about it. I haven't had too much time to work on it, but I did make some advances. I will be posting a follow-up video this week for you guys as well. And I do have some stuff already recorded, and I can show you the process. I'm hoping to get it done between the holidays, where I can spend a little bit more time. I'm really close. I'm thinking I probably have, like, honestly, a couple of hours left before I can finish it. But I'm just taking my time. I want to check everything twice just to make sure who's naughty or nice. No, that's a different story. I want to make sure if everything's done properly, and hopefully nothing will catch on fire when I actually flick the switch. Shane says, I think I only bought 3 guitars this year. So Shane is slowing down. It's okay, because I think what's happening, Shane, is that we're all getting a little bit more picky as we experience more gear, which is not a bad thing. It's okay to buy less guitars and less gear, but maybe get a little bit closer to the mark in terms of what we're looking for. So it's less trial and error. I think that's what's happening right now, at least with me. Marcel says, I know that the wiring for the TC204 was a loaded control plate you bought. Yes, it was, Marcel. I'll send that to you. I know what you're talking about. I'll send that to you. And Music and Gear says, my best girl lover got me a Yamaha Pacifica. Their high-end model. Wow, wow, love the guitar. And I think that's synonymous with the Yamaha Pacifica line. Everybody seems to really, really like those guitars. I think I haven't heard one person tell me so far that they didn't like those guitars when they tried them. So definitely they're doing something right. So congratulations on that. And I think your girlfriend is a keeper. Shane says he also would like to get Presley to make him a Strat someday. Presley, are you still in the house? You hear that? You got an order. I take 10%. No, I'm kidding. It's 15%. No, I'm just joking. Okay. All right, so I asked the question earlier on and I didn't answer the question. So first of all, any lefties in the house? If you're a lefty, just put lefty, type in lefty. I want to see how many we have here. Eddie says, Presley, I'm never right. So Presley's a righty, but my wife always says I'm wrongy. That's similar here. I don't know if that automatically makes us a lefty. Cushman says, I'm lefty, but play righty. Music and Gear's left. Quicksilver's left. Vox is left. Gospel of Mark's dad is left. So there are quite a few left-handed guitarists in the house. That's okay. That's interesting. I would have assumed that there was less, but that is cool. Okay, here's another question now. Any lefty guitarists here that have purchased a right-handed guitar and just like flipped it around to play it? You know, a la Hendrix. Anybody did that? Since there's a lot of people that have some misery buying left-handed guitars because there's probably less selection available in the stores. Have anybody out there got frustrated and just said, the heck with it, I'm just going to buy a righty and flip it? Anybody? Or is that too Hendrixy? D-Max says, shoot left in hockey, bat left in baseball, but otherwise righty. This way. Yeah. Frank says lefty, but play right. That's interesting that you can do that. Lefty, but play right. My son actually does that. When I give him my guitars, he actually says that he can do it, which is really odd to me, because if ever you try playing the other way around as a right-handed guitarist, it's totally it doesn't work. So if anybody can do that, that's crazy. Charles75 says lefty, play righty, no flip. Really? Wow. I'm impressed. I guess it's what you're accustomed to over the years, right? I guess you get accustomed to doing that. Interesting. Very interesting. All right. So answering the question regarding any gear that's just out of reach for you guys. Anybody have any comments on that, or did I just miss or not notice when you guys were talking about that? Let me know again if you have anything out of reach that you're looking for, maybe something that you're striving to save up for in the future, maybe some vintage gear, vintage guitar, something like that. Hey Ken, good morning to you. Yeah, Frank says when I was a kid you couldn't find a left-handed guitar, so you're forced to play right. A lot of people back in the day, there wasn't as much left-handed items. Things like scissors and can openers and guitars and other things. Like there wasn't that many, so you had to kind of make do. I remember my mother-in-law at one point. She's a lefty. May she rest in peace. She's no longer with us. But I remember her telling the story of when she was a child, they would force her to use her right hand, like as if it was an affliction. They would actually like tie her left hand, to her body in school and stuff, and force her to use like right-handed scissors and all kinds of stuff, as if they could like break, like as if it was a bad habit or something. They didn't really understand the whole thing about left brain, right brain. So they were just trying to like get kids to conform. Shane says you can play the lefty with about 18 months practice. Yeah, maybe, but I don't know how well I would sound. I can probably like strum or something, but I don't think it would be natural for me to like be able to do that even after 18 months. Maybe after 18 years or something like that, I'd be able to do it. So going back to what I was saying here, well, I'm just scrolling here. Just give me a sec. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anybody. Okay, because Dan had a question. I don't want to insult anybody by jumping over their questions. Dan says, Tony, I just bought a Kramer Assault 220. What do you think? I always say Kramers, like, they're decent guitars. Like I don't know why a lot of people are not snagging up some of the less expensive Kramer guitars. So the interesting thing about the Kramer Assault is that it's slightly different. It's when you think Kramer, you're thinking like the Van Halen thing, the Beretta and whatnot, but they do have other models. And the Assault is interesting because it is a different shaped body, right? You're looking at a body that's shaped more like it's a single cutaway kind of Les Paul style. How much does it weigh? Is it less? Is it heavy? Is it a heavy guitar? Did you get it yet? Let me know, Dan. It's interesting because it does have apparently it has Alnico V5s, humbuckers, which I like a lot. I think those are really great sounding pickups. The body looks a little slimmer than a standard Les Paul, right, front to back, so maybe that makes it a little bit lighter. That's why I'm asking about the weight. And I believe it has a Floyd and a locking nut, so it's interesting because it's a different take on the Les Paul. It's like a hybrid between a Les Paul and a guitar that has a Floyd on it, which you don't usually see on a Les Paul. I'm just trying to find the price on that guitar. I think it's about $500, $540, $550 in Canada. Does that sound about right, Dan? So you didn't get it yet? Okay. Well, let us know when you get it, what you think of it. I mean, it looks like a very, very cool guitar. What can you buy to compete with a guitar like that? You would have to go with like an Epiphone or something that has a Floyd on it. So I like I'm not, I don't knock the Kramer guitars. I mean, I got a couple of those Beretta specials that are very, very like affordable guitars. Like a pickup, a good quality pickup or set of pickups will probably cost more than those guitars. But they play really nice with a couple of little mods. And Mark here is saying, I think Santa got me a Kramer Beretta and I'm already planning my mods. So there you go. See? That's exactly what I mean. Dan says it's 379. That's how much you paid it. So I guess that's USD. Yeah, they're about 550 bucks here. And Music and Gear says the Kramer Assault is made in two models, the 450 and the high-end model is 850. And Cool Tune says, Tony, have you ever seen the PRS 20 watt head Hendrix? The Hendrix model, yeah. I believe I believe, if I'm not losing my marbles, that Mark here bought one of those Hendrix amps not too long ago, and I think we even showed it on the channel. And Mark, do you still have the PRS amp that you bought? Just asking for a friend. Yeah, those amps were getting a lot of publicity when they first came out, and I think they sounded really good. I don't know if the sales of that particular amp were cannibalized by the Marshall, the Studio series, because I think the Studio series came out around the same time, if I remember correctly. And you know, I think maybe some people that were looking at the PRS eventually decided to go with the Marshall. Mark says he still has it. So now is the honeymoon period over, Mark? What do you feel after having it for a while, as opposed to your first impressions when you got it? Anything change? Still like it? So Mark says it's more of a clean platform. I still like the modded Marshall sounds and the Friedman. Yeah, the Friedman amps are great. But if it's a clean platform, I'm sure it takes pedals quite well. So I'm sure with the right pedals, you can probably get into that Friedman territory with it. So yeah. So getting back to the question I had earlier on, like for me, well, somebody's asking me if I got any new gear coming for Christmas. I might have a couple of pedals that I'm looking at grabbing coming in. I haven't really decided which ones yet. I'm kind of just contemplating which ones would fit into my current lineup. I don't want to be redundant or double up. So Mark says, I don't really dig the gain sounds from the Hendrix, have to use pedals. Yeah, because I think it's more of a, it's a vintage inspired amplifier, right? So using that amplifier, I mean, the early Marshalls, you had to really crank them to get any kind of gain out of them. And at the end of the day, they're not necessarily like designed for high gain use. So yeah, you have to definitely use pedals with them. Vox says, I can't wait to hear Tony's amp. Which one? Which one? You got to be more specific. Eddie, thank you for the super chat, dude. I appreciate that, man. Eddie, send me your contact information by email, please. And I'll send you an Addicted to Gear sticker. For those of you that are new in the house, this is what I usually like to do when anybody does a super chat, just as a little thank you. I have these Addicted to Gear stickers that you can put on your guitar cases and wherever you want. And if you do a super chat, just like Eddie did, I'll send one out to you. Eddie, I appreciate that. Happy holidays to you too, man. Very nice of you to support the channel that way. Mark says I need more modern gain tones as I'm putting my prog rock power trio back together in 2024. So I'd love a Friedman. I think you should definitely try and get yourself a Friedman, Mark. Honestly, they're great amps. I still love my Dirty Shirley. Great amplifier, and you can run the gamut between edge of breakup with that amp and, nice full gain. And if you need to kick it with a pedal, you can really push it over the top. So Will there be a Christmas show? I don't know. Maybe. I haven't decided yet. It depends on what I have going on. The Christmas show is happening on the Monday, so there probably will be a Christmas Eve show. At some point, I think. I'd like to. I'll let you guys know. Definitely would like to do that now that we're in the Christmas spirit and I'll have some time available. Music and Gear says your amp build is great. Thank you, Music and Gear. I'm glad you appreciate it. I'm like, I don't get tremendous views on those videos, so I was kind of debating whether or not I should keep them going or not, and just maybe just cut them short and cut to the chase kind of thing. But I don't know. Hopefully I'll be able to demo that amplifier shortly. I'm really excited to hear what it's going to sound like. Gene says, Tony, will there be a Christmas show? As I mentioned, Gene, I'm going to try. Paul says, Tony, saw another YouTuber guy with your kit amp. It sounds killer. Awesome. I hope mine does too. It's hard to tell. I've snagged a couple of mistakes after checking over my steps. I've snagged a few mistakes that I fixed, so I'm happy I spotted those because that could have been disastrous. So I'm taking my time. Presley, thank you for dropping by, buddy. Appreciate that. Have a great day at work. Enjoy yourself. Have some fun. Vox says, my neighbor does custom build point-to-point amps, Morris amplification, so I'm really enjoying the amp build, Tony. Nice, thanks. Maybe if I run into issues, I'll know who to contact. So here's my my take on what I feel is just out of reach that I would really love to get. I've been eyeing a couple of things. One thing is a matchless Chieftain amp, which I think sound amazing. I think these amplifiers sound so good, but they're too darn expensive. I can't justify that cost right now. But maybe one day I'll find one at a decent price. Just out of curiosity, I'm gonna see what they're going for on Reverb. See if there's anything even available. Have you guys tried or heard a Chieftain anywhere in real life? Because they sound fantastic. And those are really hard to find used anywhere because they're really like, people hang on to them. You don't really find those for sale quite often. Let me see if there's any on Reverb. Sometimes there are, sometimes there aren't. Keep the questions coming in, guys, while I'm doing my little search here. Do they have any? They have a lot of covers. Let me see here. Can't really find any. They just have a bunch of covers for these amps. That's all I can find right now. It's a shame. So Marcel says, my pleasure is making them mine by modding them and having fun. And Randy says, what about the J.K. Lee amp? Is it cool? I was talking about that earlier, Randy. I heard plenty of sound samples around that amplifier when it came out. I was seriously considering getting one. I think it sounds fantastic. And Music and Gear says, yes, no details. Don't let your YouTube shorten your content. Okay, but it gets very long. There's only so much, soldering of components somebody can take. And Vox says, Tony, on a scale of 1 to 100, how hard would you say your amp build is? Well, Vox, this is the first time I'm actually building an amp, right? So I don't really have anything to compare it to. The only thing I've actually built in the past were pedals. Guitars, obviously, but in terms of electronics, strictly electronics, pedals, I've done that. I can't really compare it to a pedal though. I say it's not that complicated really. Like if you have basic skills, I'm gonna say it's, I don't know, 60%. 60% being the first amp. And it's not a complicated circuit, but there's a lot of stuff in there. There's a lot of wiring, there's a lot of like intricacies, and it's easy to make a mistake. But I have to say that the quality of the guide that comes with it is really good. Like it's very well outlined, has nice, easy to understand step-by-step instructions. So if you're good at following instructions, you're good at maybe working with your hands and stuff, and you've done a couple of like, soldering work in the past, you should be okay. I would recommend you guys try it. Couldn't hurt. At the end of the day, I mean, everything's fixable, right? Even if you mess up, at the end of the day, you're gonna have like, unless it catches fire, you should be able to be able to fix whatever you've done wrong. Worst case scenario. As long as you don't kill yourself and get electrocuted. That's the only thing I'm worried about, is like, if I do something wrong, I put my hands in the wrong place, that's not a good thing. But that usually is not a risk till you power it up. So that's when you really have to be careful. So yeah, no chieftains on reverb that I can see here. So that's one of the amps that I would really love to get. I've seen them on the used market in Canada for like $4,000, $4,500. Brand new in the States, I think they're about that price. American plus shipping and whatever taxes. So it's not a cheap amplifier, but it sounds fantastic. And the other thing is, just beyond my reach, is I would love to have a Tremonti PRS. That's like one of the guitars that I'm always keeping my eyes open for, and haven't really seen any kind of like fantastic deals where I'm like, I gotta grab it. Let me just look on Reverb here for a second and see if I can find anything. Currently, there's always models out there, and I'm not talking about when I say the Tremonti PRS, I'm not talking about the SE. I'm talking about the core model. So let's see what we got here. There's plenty of SEs, but that's not what I'm looking for. So here, let me just share my screen with you guys here. Maybe we could do let's do a quick little view of what's on Reverb here. So I'm looking at, so the Tremonti lines, they're these, right? Like this model here. But I wouldn't get one with this type of bridge because this is a little bit too close to my my core model PRS that I already have, which is the 245 with this particular bridge. So for me, the Tremonti's got to have like the trem. So like this one here, for example, like that one, the trem like that. And it's got to be a nice color. This is a charcoal burst, kind of similar to this one, kind of, but I wouldn't necessarily go with the charcoal burst. But you can see the price here, right? It's $6,472 plus another $383 shipping. So that's like, no, that's too expensive. It's a nice looking guitar though. I saw one earlier that really blew my socks off. I wonder if I can find that one again. This one's sweet. I like this one. Also, with the lines on it like that. That's a nice looking guitar. But again, I'm not looking for that type of bridge. They got this one here. They often come in these charcoal burst models, and the tops will vary quite a bit depending on the quality of the wood. But I saw one earlier, and I don't see it now. I wonder if it already sold. This one's really sweet looking too. Cobalt. Reminds me of a lollipop. But that's a sweet looking guitar, I gotta say. You can see the top on this one's really nice, and it's got the open tuners and all that kind of stuff. But again, it's like $6,000, man. Too expensive. One day. I keep telling myself that one day it'll happen. Randy, I gotta be a good boy if I want to be rewarded. So that's not gonna happen. John ZD351 says, "Oh no, I woke up at 3:30 a.m. instead of 2:30 a.m. and missed some of the show." Hey, dude, I'm really happy you're here, man. I wouldn't. I mean, I would have a hard time waking up at 2:30 for anything. So, yeah, a matchless is my white buffalo. Exactly. So if you guys have anything, I'd like to know. Yeah, the Tremonti has a thin neck. Yeah, exactly. So it's quite a bit different than my 245. That's the reason why I kind of like the Tremontis, because it's not the same as what I already have. Because what's the point? The core model 245 is very similar in terms of look, because it is single cut, does have the two humbuckers, and but the neck is very different. Marcel says, "Damn, I got 5 guitars and a Fender GTX 100 for less than that." Exactly. They're just too expensive, man. These are, these are the type of guitars that you have to sell like the majority of your inventory to afford. So you got to think long and hard before you actually get one, and make sure it's the right one, because a disadvantage of buying one of these guitars, if it isn't the right one, is that you're going to have a hard time recouping your money, because there's not everybody that's going to be able to dish out that kind of dough on the used market for one of those. And it's got to be pristine, because if you're dishing out close to $7,000 for a guitar, buckle rash or chips are not going to cut it, right? So that's how I look at it anyways. All right, guys, so we've been on for about an hour. Is it time to look at the poll question? What do you guys think? Should we look at it? I did wanna do one thing with you guys before we actually look at the poll question, because there's a lot of these the Tremonti's as much as a car, pretty much, exactly. So it's a little bit out there. There's a lot of these not polls, but at this time of year, you get these roundups where people talk about the best electric guitars for 2023. And it's funny because a lot of websites, gear related websites, have these lists going on, and it's funny how they're very different from one another. So I was looking at one the other day that had a couple of things listed on it. And they listed, like, for example, the best Strat for 2023. And take this with a huge grain of salt, guys, because oftentimes these are sponsored. They're sponsored. They're like mock advertising for a lot of companies. So they just kind of dress them up to look like, a summary, but they're actually not. So I'm looking at one here, and they're saying the best Strat for 2023 is the Fender American Professional 2 Stratocaster, which I don't know if I agree with that, So they're looking at the new models, obviously, right? This is the Strat with the synchronized 2-point trem. I'm not a huge fan of the 2-point trems on Strats, because I'm kind of old school. I like the screws. But I can see why some people do like those types of saddles. So that's what they're saying is a good guitar in terms of a Strat for 2023. Then I jump over to the Les Paul, and of course they're recommending a Gibson 60 standard Les Paul, which is a good looking guitar, and it's not that expensive. More on the heavy side in terms of guitars. So, but what I really want to pay attention to is the guitars that they're picking for the best value, because you know a Strat's going to be in the list, a Gibson is going to be on the list, but what are they choosing as a guitar for the best value? And I'm going to show you what it is. What do you guys think it is? Give me your best guess. What would you say the guitar that they're pushing as being the best value guitar for 2023? And don't Google this, guys, because you know you're gonna ruin the surprise. So I'll give you 10 seconds and then I'll show you what it is. Any guesses? No guesses at all? Okay, Mark says the Silver Sky. Good guess, Mark. Shane says the Rev Star. Good guess too. And I'm not saying I agree with this, by the way. I'm just telling you what they're recommending. So Billy Beer says a PRS. John says Harley Benton Custom Shop. Interesting votes. Rico says the Silver Sky. Ken says classic vibe, which yeah, I kind of agree with that one. Great value in those Silver Skies and the classic vibes, both of those actually. Any more guesses? Going once. Fender Player Series, interesting guess, yeah. One more. What color? Cushman's asking Marcel. All right, here's what they and this, I'm not making this up. I'm going to show you the web page. So here we go. Boom. This is what they're advertising as the. You can see the list here. Best Strat, best Les Paul, best Telecaster, best hollow body, best offset, best value. Best value is this one, Kramer Beretta Special, a rock and roll machine that's insane value for money. And again, I have two of these and you can't beat the price. You can't even put together a guitar for the money they're asking for these guitars. And I actually bought them earlier when they were even less expensive than they are now. So, you know, put in, modify the pickup if you want to, put in a better bridge and you're in business. So I kind of, I could understand that because you couldn't get any cheaper in terms of price and still end up with a decent guitar. So that's what they're advertising for best value. Best Telecaster, if you're curious. I don't like the color on this at all, but they recommend the Fender Player Plus Telecaster. So there you go. You know, so this is what I mean by, and I'll show you what I mean by the results from these polls vary tremendously, because I have another one here from a totally different website, very similar in the way it's formulated, and let's see what they say. Okay, and you can see the difference in terms of, you know, who they're promoting and whatnot. Mark says Santa must have read the list because I think he's bringing me a purple Beretta. So there you go. You're getting something that somebody's recommending. Mark, I like the Berettas. I think you're going to like it. The necks are rather thin. So if you don't like thin necks, that might be something to get used to. But overall, they're great modding platforms. So it's pretty cool. Shane, sweet dreams. Shane's got to go to work. Sucks that we got to work, isn't it? Doesn't it? You got to find a way to, you know, just not work, Shane. Have a good day tomorrow. Get your rest. So here's the other list, okay? I'll just quickly show you that one and you'll see the difference. So I'll move this over so you guys can read it, hopefully. So this one is from Guitar World. Again, similar. Best guitar for beginners, best for versatility, best for fast playing. So the topics that they're selecting these guitars in are a little bit more vague, you know, like best for heavy tones, very subjective, I guess. So if we look at best for versatility, what do you think that's going to be? Let's take a look. 3, 2, 1. There you go. PRS SE Custom 24, best for versatility. I guess. I mean, you know, the SE guitars are pretty good. Versatile, I guess, because they do have a couple of extra switches in there as well. And I guess you could do some switching in terms of what they're offering in the pickups. Let's look at best for beginners, shall we? There we go. Squire Bullet Mustang. So I'm not a big fan of the Mustang shaped guitars, but I would agree that if you grab a decent Squire, like a classic vibe or something like that, those are good guitars for beginners. If you like this shape, I'm sure this guitar is fine too. But yeah, that's what they're recommending. And it's funny because they have a category here, best for playing. Like, what else would you do with your guitar if you're not playing it? So that's a weird category, but let's look at what they have in there. So best for playing, the Ibanez Genesis, the RG550, which has been around for quite a long time. So I don't know why they're choosing this one. I mean, they're saying best for playing, but then, you know, the subheading here says best electric guitar for shredders. So I guess that kind of makes sense. I guess everyone else that's not a shredder doesn't really play their guitar, according to them. Best for rock and blues. Any guesses? Rock and blues, Gibson ES335. Rock and blues. I love my 335. So I do believe that it does a fantastic job of playing both blues and rock. Never had issues there. That's what they're recommending. I don't know if it would be my first choice, but yeah, that's what they're recommending. And best for heavy tones. What do you think we're gonna find there for heavy tones, guys? Heavy tones. Charvel. Really? I mean, it's funny that they choose a Charvel that has single coils, except a stacked blade humbucker in the bridge position. So best for, like, I would have maybe chosen this guitar maybe best for versatility, you know, since you have single humbucker. But I've played this guitar, the DK22, and not a bad guitar, but I think it's a little overpriced for what it is, in my opinion. And then they have another category, best for fast playing. We got to check out what that's going to be. So it's not going to be the Ibanez, even though it was for shredders. So what's this going to be? Oh, it is. Best for fast playing. There we go. So it's, wait a minute. Oh, I made a mistake. Sorry, my apologies. So best for fast playing is the Ibanez Genesis. I clicked on the wrong button. Sorry, guys. So best for playability. Now it kind of makes sense when I was saying, like, you know, what else would you do with a guitar, right? Best for playability, the Fender Ventura 60s Telecaster, modified. Best for playability, interesting. Inject more vibe into your playing, they say. So there you go. I guess they're covering all the bases. So I hope you guys liked that little comparison. So Marcel says, Tony, did you show the new guitar you got this week? I did. You missed it. It's a Firebird, Marcel. You missed it. Oh, here, I'll show it to you again. There you go. Firebird. It's a Christmas tree ornament. I was kind of joking when I said, you know, I got a new guitar. It is a new guitar, but it's an ornament. Dennis wants to know, anyone else heard about the humbucker sized P90? They look cool. Haven't heard them yet. Not sure of the price, but cool to be able to drop right in. Yeah, there's quite a few pickup winding companies out there that offer these P90s in a humbucker, which is cool because you can actually switch without necessarily having to do anything to the top of the guitar. So if anybody's looking at getting a P90 in one of their guitars, that's the one to look at. Check out the, you know, our friends right over here. You know, we have a few in the house usually that are winding pickups. Peg City, you can ask them about that. They're usually here. Peck City says, I still own my 1992 RG550. It's still an absolute pleasure to play. A lot of people love those guitars. And it's funny because a lot of people, you know, many years after that guitar was released, they actually discovered those guitars for the first time, maybe picked one up on the used market and really bonded with those guitars. So that's pretty a cool guitar to check out if you can. All right, so let's look at the poll question and then we'll wrap things up. All right, I've been on an hour and a half already. Time flies when you're having fun, but let's look at the poll question, shall we? So I'll just jump over to my channel and get the final results because maybe some of you have voted in the meantime and we don't want to leave anybody out. And so here we go. Right now we have, 215 votes, so a few other people voted while we were talking. All right, so the question for this week was, in your experience, what is the best sounding nut material for an electric guitar? And this is a kind of a tricky question because not that many people out there would actually experiment that much with a nut. Like, I haven't actually done the experiment where I take one specific guitar and swap out the nut for different materials, but that would be a cool, interesting video to do maybe eventually. So a lot of people just stick with whatever's on their guitar. And I think the go-to material is usually bone. People associate bone because it was used originally back in the day extensively. They feel like that is like the go-to material they should be experimenting with. So let's see what people say in the voting here. So I'll actually even put it on. I'll put it on screen for you guys. It'll be easier to do it that way. I'll just quickly share that. Here we go. Okay, so let's see if we can get that. Oh, well, we can do it this way, I guess, but I wanted to do a screenshot. Well, that sucks. It doesn't work. Okay, here, hold 1 second, guys. Sorry. Sometimes my computer just doesn't want to cooperate with me, so let's grab it from here instead. Right there. All right. Ooh, okay. Let's see if we can pull that on the screen now. Okay, forget it. I'm not even going to put it on the screen. It's just more hassle. All right. So what bone material is, in your opinion, best sounding for electric guitar? No surprise, out of 215 votes, 66% of you said bone. I think it's just the go-to. I don't know if it's actually better sounding or not, but people automatically associate bone with what should be on a guitar. Second, which is a little surprising, well, not really. I mean, it's become more popular over the years. Synthetic materials, Tusk, Corian, or Micarta. And I agree that there's a lot of new materials that have come out over the years that are just as good or maybe even better than bone, because it's easier to work with and has a slicker surface, doesn't bind up as easy, it's not as fragile. So I'm not surprised that 13% of you said synthetic materials. 12%, close third, is graphite, which I think a lot of people like graphite because it is so slick, but they don't necessarily like the color. So if you're putting, you know, a graphite nut on a Strat or something like that, sometimes they associate graphite with the dark color. They don't like to have that, but I think there is probably graphite nuts out there nowadays that are available in different colors as well. Then that's followed by brass. A lot of people back in the day, I know a lot of 70s, 80s guitarists started to use brass because they like the sound of brass. And some people are still using them now. I haven't ever tried a brass nut on my guitar. I don't know how well your tools would stand up to slotting if you have any nut slotting files. I don't know if that's a smart thing to do. I don't know if you would ruin your files trying to do that. And then last, dead last, 2%, people say plastic, nylon or Delrin. And I think a lot of people tend to think that the plastic nuts, plasticky nuts that come on lower end guitars usually are not that great. So I'm one of those. I tend to go for bone as much as possible. I'm just because it's easy to work with. And for me, I'm familiar with that. But to be honest with you guys, you know, if you're strumming a chord, then the nut question becomes a moot point because you're not actually hearing the nut. The only time you're really hearing the nut is if you're strumming open chords, right? Or open strings. As soon as you're doing a chord or you have your finger on one of the strings, you're not hearing the nut anymore. You're hearing the fret. So keep that in mind and, you know, don't go crazy. Just what I'm trying to say is don't overanalyze like I do, guys. Just enjoy playing your guitars. Okay, Dennis says, quick change nuts. Always felt bone was the way to go. Me too. It's just easier to work with, Dennis, in my opinion. John ZD351 says, I may have been silly to and all last week deciding whether to buy a lefty 1989 RG550 and someone else snapped it up. John, you got to move fast, man. There's a lot of people looking for deals. You got to move. You can't hesitate too long. But again, John, I tend to think that if a guitar doesn't stay, you know, long enough for you to snap it up, it wasn't meant to be. So don't sweat it. Maybe a different guitar is going to come your way and it's going to be maybe better quality. Maybe you're going to like it more. Everything happens for a reason, John. Keep that in mind. Gene says my ERT 522 Les Paul has the Gibson open book headstock. So if you're looking for that particular type of headstock, you can maybe check out that guitar. All right. So I think we're going to wrap it up, guys, unless there's a last question or something like that. I don't know. Music and Gear says stainless, brass, bone all make a tone difference. You pick what's best for you. Exactly. But just keep in mind, once you fret that string, it's out of the equation. All right, guys, it was a pleasure spending some time with you this Sunday. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. We're going to wrap it up. We've been on for about an hour and a half. We still have lots to talk about, but I also have some videos I need to shoot for you guys and put on the channel so you guys can enjoy those. Because at the end of the day, we need to, you know, keep the conversation going. So keep your eyes open for those videos. I have a new one I think that's going to be posted tomorrow, I believe, scheduled to be posted tomorrow. So keep your eye open for that. It's a brand new product that I'm really digging, that I've reviewed, and there'll be more on the amplifier and of course other gear that's going to come and make its way into my studio here. And I'll also keep you up to speed in terms of what's going out, because when something comes in, something else has got to go. That's how it works around here. So we'll be talking about all that. And stay tuned for the notifications to see whether or not there'll be a show on Christmas Eve. If you guys are not too hungover and you want to participate in that show, I'm going to try to do that for you guys. It might be at a different time slot since it's people party late, you know, Christmas Eve, they stay up late. Might be a little bit later in the day or maybe possibly even in the evening. So just stay tuned if you want to participate in that, all right? Thank you so much for tuning in. Please, before you head out, hit the little like button if you haven't already done so. I would appreciate that. Keep in mind that there's going to be good stuff being posted on the channel on a regular basis. So if you're into gear and it's the first time here, watch a few videos, see if it resonates with you, and maybe come back for more. All right. Have a great week, you guys. Stay safe. And I can't wait to hear all about your gear acquisitions as they, you know, make their way into your house over the holidays. We'll have a lot to talk about. Have a good one, guys. See you soon.